Okay, welcome to our next unit. We're talking a little bit more about Active Directory objects. This week we are going to talk about a couple of different service account things and bulk operations and delegation of control. Give you guys just a little bit stronger background in how Active Directory objects, users, groups, so on, all work. So to get started, actually, before we get started, we're going to create um, a new account, and we're going to um, make that account available for services. So we're going to open up Active Directory users and computers, and we just want to, first of all, we're going to create a new organizational unit. So we'll just right click on our domain, come to new, and create a new organizational unit. And we'll name this one service accounts. Again, I'm going to just not protect that, hit OK. And then we're going to create a service user. So we're going to come inside of the OU, create a new user, and we're going to name this user backup account. And we'll click next. And we'll go ahead and give it our normal CNT password. And we're going to go ahead and make sure that the user cannot change the password and that the password never expires. And we'll go ahead and click next and finish. So now we have our service accounts OU with our backup account as a user. Now we're going to open up services. So we'll just click on our magnifying glass, our search icon, and we'll type in services. And we can open up services. Now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and change the startup type so that they're in order, and we're just going to find something that's disabled. We have plenty of disabled services here. The reason that we're choosing a disabled service is because we don't want what we're about to do to screw with anything. We want to make sure that it's working, just fine without being messed with. So once we get down in here, we're going to come and we're going to find a service account that we want to play with. Let's just go ahead and do the Open SSH authentication agent. We're going to right click on this and click on properties. And once we click on properties, we're going to go to login, the login tab, and you can see that you have two options. You can either log in as a system account, or you can log in as a specific account. When we click on this account, we're able to type in our backup account user, and we can actually click browse if we wanted to, just to make sure that we have the right backup account. And we're going to change our password to our to our CNT password. Now, what this has done, so that you understand, is that it's made it so that this specific service account is able to run this OpenSSH authentication agent properties as a service. There's many different types of applications and Windows components that require service access level so that an actual user doesn't have to log in. And this is how you would add one manually. Now, when we click on apply, it says that the backup account has been granted access as a service right, which is fine. That's what we want it to do. So we hit OK, and we close out of there. Now, most service accounts are created by default, and it's very rare that you actually have to create a service account for any type of application. But if you ever do, now you know how to do it. Now, to make sure that we don't screw anything up, let's go back into properties and let's change this back. So we'll go back to login and we'll log in as a system account, hit apply, and hit OK. Now we can also do this. We can also add a service account in PowerShell. Now, when you think about why you would want to add a service in PowerShell, realistically, it is dependent on whether or not you're trying to add a managed service account or a regular service account. So again, let's go ahead and let's search for PowerShell. So PO should come up pretty easily. See Windows PowerShell. We're going to right click on this and we're going to run as administrator because some of these commands that we're going to type in are administrator reliant. And the first thing that we have to do is we have to run the add KDS root key command, which will allow the computer to search for different service accounts and management aspects of it and allow them to manage. However, this process takes 10 hours. So what we're going to do is we're going to fudge it a little bit. We're going to run the add dash KDS root key, and we're going to add the effective time, and we're going to have it get our time that we have right now. So we're going to do get dash date, and we're going to add hours, and we're going to put in -10. Oops. Like that. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow us to run the KDS root key command as if it was run 10 hours ago so that we don't have to sit here and wait. And once that's done, you should get something like this. So you can go ahead and take a screenshot to validate that it worked. If you don't get this as a response from the command, make sure you typed in everything properly. Make sure you have the correct capitalization on everything, and so on and so forth. Okay, so now that we've run that, let's come back into Active Directory, and we're going to create a new group. So we're going to create a web servers group. We're also going to create a managed services account organizational unit. So let's start by creating our organizational unit. Again, take off the protection. And inside here, we're going to create a new group. And the group's name is going to be Web Servers Global Group. We're going to leave it as a global security group and hit OK. And now we have our Web Servers Global Group. Now we can come back into PowerShell and we can run a new AD service account name. The name that we're creating for this account is going to be web account. And the DNS host name is going to be web account dot, and then your last name. So I'm going to type in kid.com. And we're going to do a principal allowed to retrieve managed password. And what that does, it is allows it to manually retrieve a password for the web account. And then we're going to do a web servers, servers, for the password. And then we're going to do a SAM account name. And that's going to be web account and a server, sorry, a service principal name of HTTPS : // dot last name, so kid.com. So all of this, what this is what the, it's a command that we're putting in to create this web account user through the command line using the DNS hostname of webaccount.kid.com with a principal allowed password of web servers. And then we're creating the SAM account name of web account, and the service that it's going to be utilizing is the HTTPS www.kid.com. So if this works, no, it shouldn't, or it doesn't work because I typed something in wrong. Can't find the object. Okay, so the reason that it said it couldn't find the object was because I forgot to type in GG at the end of it. So we will come back here, press the up arrow so that we get back to where we were. And at the end of the web servers, we want the GG. Oh. There we go. Put that in, hit enter. And this time it should run without any problem. If it'll press enter. There we go. That time it ran because we had the GG on the end of it. And now we're going to go ahead and open up our Active Directory users and computers. And we should see we should see that the service account, the account that we created should have been in the managed services account, and it's not. What you might have to do is actually click on view and go to advanced features. And inside of there, now we can see the web account that we created under the managed services accounts. We're going to go ahead and turn off the advanced features because we don't want to actually see all of those advanced features. It gets a little confusing. So now what we need to do is we need to add the domain controller to the web servers group. And the reason that we have to do that is because in order for this account to be used as a managed account for what we're trying to do on the domain controller, the domain controller has to be part of the web services group, or web servers, sorry. So click on the web servers, click on properties, click on members, click add. Notice up here that we have users, service accounts, groups, and other objects. We don't actually have computers listed, so we want to click on object type, and we want to check the computers checkbox. And now we can type in the name of our domain controller. We can do a check name afterwards, but our domain controller is server 2019. Once we hit check name, it sees that, so we can hit OK. It'll show that we have a computer account now, our domain controller that's added to that. We can hit apply and OK. And now our domain controller is part of the web servers group. After we've done that, however, we do need to go back into our command prompt and we need to do a GP update. GP update space / force allows us to do a forced update on that. And then we want to actually reboot our computer just to make sure that everything updates, because it is a computer update, a computer account update, not a user account. So logging off isn't going to be good enough. We want to make sure that we reboot the server. And once the server has rebooted fully, we'll open up PowerShell again. And at that point, we can actually install the web servers account, or sorry, the web account into Active Directory services account, which will allow us to actually use the web account as a service account. So once this applies all the settings that were just changed, it'll allow us to log in, and we can do that through PowerShell. So we'll open up PowerShell again as an administrator. And what we'll do is we will run the command install -ADSERVICE ACCOUNT, so AD service account space, and the account that we want to install is the web account. Did not like that. Did I forget an S? Okay, so we type in the install AD service account space web account command again and hit enter. This time we didn't get an error. The reason is because we tried to do this too soon after reboot. Active Directory wasn't actually initialized. Now that it's initialized, it's able to run that. Now, to validate that this actually is a functioning account in AD services, we can do the test AD service account web account and hit enter. And notice that it pops up as true. So you should probably take a screenshot if it pops up as true. If it doesn't pop up as true, you'll want to rerun the install AD service account web account command again until you get the true when you do a test. This proves that there is actually a web account in the AD service account functionality. So now we can open up services again. And we can look for another disabled account. This time we can just go ahead and click on, I don't know what, how about download Maps Manager? Click on properties. We'll click on the login, and this time we want to type in, actually, because this already has one, let's cancel out of that. Let's take a look at the link layer. Nope. How about that Active Directory installer again? There we go. Active Directory one. We'll click on this account, and this time we're going to type in web account with a $sign at the end of it. And we're going to leave the password blank. So we make sure that there's nothing in there, and we go ahead and click apply. And it will tell us the account has been granted to the logon as a service right. We say okay, and now it generated a password that is complex based off of our group policies complexity, and that will auto regenerate because of the commands that we typed in earlier as far as the principals allowed to retrieve managed password. So now we can go ahead and hit OK, and that service will be up and running the way that we want it to. Again, we want to go back into this, what was that, Active Directory? No, which one was it? Oh, I don't know which command we used. And regardless, whatever one you used, make sure you go back in, go back into your properties and switch it back to local system account as it was before. I don't remember which one we used. It's really not that big of a deal because it's not like this is a production server. But nevertheless, make sure you switch it back. I'll switch mine back after I look through this video to watch whichever one it was that I was playing with. For some reason, I think it was the ActiveX. Ah, it was. There we go. So you want to make sure that you change that. Now, notice that it's not letting me change it right now. Back to a local system because I actually have to reboot in order for that to happen. So I'll have to change that ActiveX later. If you're unable to do it, you'll need to reboot and swap it back. But again, it's not that important for this server, especially with ActiveX installer. We're not worried about ActiveX. So we'll move on to the next spot. So the thing about service accounts, like I said, these are accounts that should be auto-generated. They should be auto configured through software. You shouldn't have to create these, but now you know how to if you have to. So we'll go ahead and close out of services. And excuse me. Now we're going to talk about some bulk operators. So I'm going to close out of all of this real quick. And we're going to open up our command prompt. And we're going to run that as administrator. And we are going to open up a new file with Notepad. So we're going to type in Notepad, :import.csv. Notice that it says that it can't find the file. It asks us if we want to create a new one. We say yes. And we're going to create a file that has all of the information we need to create a bulk operating CSV file. So I'm just going to type all that information in real quick, and then we'll talk about it and you guys can copy along. Okay, so what we've typed in here is we have our object class, which is user. We have our DN, which is in quotation marks. Otherwise, every time we had a comma, it'd go on to the next thing. So we have to make sure that we're inside our quotes. But our DN is our domain name, which is our CN of user1, plus the organizational unit, which is employees, plus our domain controller, which is our last name.com. Then we have our SAM account name, which is user1, our given name, which is user, and our SN, which is one, or our surname, right? So I'm going to just copy this because I want to make a couple of these. So I'll paste it in. And on this one, we're just going to change this from a 1 to a 2. And we'll change all of the other 1s to 2s. And then we'll copy it again, and we'll change it to 3. And we'll make a 4th one. There we go. So now we can take this and do a file save. And we can go ahead and close this file. And now that we have this file, we can type in our command, which is csvde space I space -f, and then our location of our file. So what this is doing is running the csvde command. It's importing from a file, and this is the location of the file. And what that's going to do is if we click and open up our Active Directory users and computers, first, we want to make an organizational unit. So we're going to click on new organizational unit, and we're going to type in employees and hit OK. So now in our kid.com or yourlastname.com under employees OU, it should create 4 new users. So we'll come back over here to this and we'll hit enter. And it says 4 entries were modified successfully. So now we should be able to click on employees and do a refresh. And there we go. User 1, user 2, user 3, and user 4. Pretty neat, huh? So go ahead and make sure you take a screenshot of that. And then what if we created all these users, but we made the mistake of, instead of calling them users 1 and user 2 and user 3 and user 4, we actually wanted to call them 1 user, 2 user, 3 user, 4 user. Well, we have a different command that allows us to modify these. So again, we're going to come into our command prompt and we're going to open up Notepad, C:\modify, oops, .ldf. Notice again, it says that it can't find the file. Do you want to create it? Say yes. And this time, we're going to type in some information. So what we're actually doing here is we're going to access our user 1 inside of the OU of employees inside of our domain controller of kid.com. And we're going to do a change where we're going to replace the SAM account name to user 1, or sorry, 1 user from user 1. And we have to do a change type. We want to replace the display name or display name one user. And we want to do a change type. Oops. Modify the remove directory with a new RDN of CN equals 1 user, and delete old RDN : 1. Okay, so we're doing 3 things. We're going to replace the SAM account name for the user 1 and change it to 1 user. We're going to replace the display name with 1 user, and we're going to remove the old record and create a new record from user 1 to 1 user. And if we want to do this for each one of these, all we have to do is copy the change type information, put a space in, replace it, and then we just change. Oops, sorry. I'm going to copy the first one. There we go. We just change our user 1 to user 2, our 1 user to 2 user, our 1 user to 2 user, and our 1 user to 2 user. Notice that we don't change this number 1 because this is just telling us that we're deleting an old record. The 1 means that we are doing that. It's true. It would be a 0 if it was false. So we're just changing the user 2 here, the 2 user, 2 user, and 2 user. And you would do this over and over again for each one of the users. I'm just going to do it for the 2. I'm going to save the file. And now I'm going to run the LDI FDE command with a -I, a -F, and RC : /modify.ldf. None of that popped up. LDI FDE -I -F C : /modify .ldf. We'll hit enter. Okay. Where are we at? There's a failure on line 17. One, two, three, four, five, six, 7, 8, 10. Where is the, oh, wait. There's an error across the board. It's actually SAM account, not same account. File save. Let's try that again. Okay, hang on 1 second. Something's wrong with what I typed. Okay, let's look at the notepad file again. I did have a space here just a second ago. I fixed that. Everything looks like it should be good now. I got rid of the space between SAM account name and the colon, and I did it again for user 2. So everything looks like it's good. We'll save it again, and let's run the command one more time. Still doesn't like line 17. So let's open it up, and let's just do this for 1 user. We'll get rid of our second user here. File save. Close out of that. And let's see what happens with just 1. It still says that an error occurred. But it also changed the 1 user. Interesting. So the error must have occurred somewhere else. So let's do this for just 2 user. Maybe the error was because we did it to 1 user multiple times, and there was no such thing as a 1 user. So now we're doing this for 2 user. We'll go ahead and copy everything again. Leave a space, hit Control V, and we'll change all of the 2's in the second one to 3. And we'll hit save, close out of that, and let's try running the command again. Okay, so it looks like the second time we did it, it worked just fine. Don't really know where our error was, but it was able to succeed this time. And now if we do a refresh, yep, users 1, 2, and 3 have all changed. So when writing those notepad files, you really do need to make sure that you're paying attention to every single space and every single character so that you don't make a mistake like we just did there. If you run into an issue and you're unable to figure it out during the lab, just email me your notepad files and I will take a look at them and see if I can find the mistakes. Sometimes it's really hard to find those when you're doing it on your own. So those are our 2 different bulk operator commands. Let's take a look now at managing delegation. So we can close our command prompt, and we're going to create a couple different groups. So let's go back up here. We're actually going to create another organizational unit. New OU. We're going to call this one groups just so that we have them saved all in a specific location. And we're going to create some new groups. Our first group's name is going to be help desk. And we'll just leave this as a global security group. Our next group's name is going to be managers. New group. Again, global security group. And our last one is going to be called group policy. New group. Group policy. Now, if you were to go into your users folder here and you scroll down through here, you'll actually see that there's a group policy creator owners that already exists. This is different than group policy, which we just created, obviously, but those are going to work hand in hand later on in what we're talking about. So now that we've created those 3 groups, we want these 3 groups to be able to manage different aspects of our Active Directory. So for instance, help desk, we want our help desk to be able to do things like change our passwords, unlock accounts, stuff like that, so that users that call in and have an issue, the help desk is able to help them. So we're going to right click on our domain and we're going to click on delegate control. And the wizard will open up. We'll click next. We're going to select a user or group to add and we'll type in help desk. And we'll check the name. Did I type it wrong? There we go, help desk. We'll hit OK. And we'll hit next. Now, if it's a common task, we can just look in here, which it is, and we want to reset user passwords and force password changes for next login. We just want to click on this checkbox and we're good. We can click next and finish. And now the help desk user group, anyone that's inside of it or that's a member of that should be able to go ahead and manage passwords for other users. So what you can do is you can come into your users group or one of your different users or groups where you have different users, such as your sales or your marketing, and you can add one of these users to your help desk group and then see if they can change passwords for other people. So go ahead and try and do that. I'm not going to do that here for you. I want to see how well you guys can add a user to a group since we've done it a couple times. Go ahead and try that, see how that works out, and take a screenshot of that process and tell me how that works out. So with managers, we want to delegate control for them, but we want them to have a lot more control than just being able to do one thing here and there. So we're going to click on our delegation of control wizard again, go through, click next, type in managers and check our name, see that it pops up right, click OK, click next, and we're going to create a custom task for them to delegate instead of just one of these things. Then we're going to click on only the following objects and folders, and we're just going to click on everything because managers should be able to do everything, or at least IT managers. Actually, sorry, we can just click on this folder. My bad, I was in the wrong spot. So we'll just leave it at this folder, click next. We want them to do everything here. There we go. Now I'm not clicking everything. So we make sure all the boxes are checked here. For the permissions, click next and click finish. And now managers are able to do whatever they want inside of that organizational unit. And then finally, we can create our group policy group. So we want to delegate control. Click next, add a user, type in group policy, check the name. Notice that two things pop up. We're just going to click on this first one, hit OK, make sure it's the group policy, click next, and we want them to be able to manage group policy links. Again, it's a simple common task, so we can click next and finish. However, with the group policy one, this one's not actually done. We actually have to come into our user's account and find that group policy creator owner, right click on this, go to properties, and add the members of group policy. Now our group policy group that we created is a member of the group policy creator owner group, and they can now create group policies, which you'll see in our next lab, which is going to be on group policy. So now take a look at your managers and add a user to that. If you have to create a new user inside employees or make one of your employees, maybe user 4 is the manager, make them a manager by adding them to the managers group and see if they have access to delete users or change anything like the help desk employees did, and see how that works out for you. But that's pretty much it. We've discussed bulk operators and delegation of control. and service accounts. And we've looked at how all of those work, and that's pretty much it for Active Directory objects for this course. So like I said, next week we'll talk about group policy a little bit, or next module, I should say, and we'll go from there. Hope you guys enjoyed this lab. As always, please leave a like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next video.